Hey everybody, good morning, happy Wednesday. I thought I had my tripod straight, um, but now I see that I don't. Maybe I just need to get over myself. So it's Wednesday morning, I'm having my iced tea in a wine glass because I'm classy. Don't you wish you were classy? I actually have it in the wine glass because it's the biggest glass that I have. And I like a lot of tea in the morning. It's funny, I gave up coffee. I'm having coffee a little every once in a while these days, like an iced coffee. Sometimes I'll have one here and there. But for the most part, I've given up coffee as like a daily thing, especially in the morning. And so I've been drinking tea because I thought, well, I was having too much caffeine and I was crashing in the afternoon. My energy was all over the place. But so now I'm back up to like drinking, tons of caffeine. I'm just having a lot of black tea. So I don't really know if, the change that I intended to make in terms of having my energy be more even actually worked. I don't know. I digress. That is not the point of this video. I wanted to talk about something really quick, and it's been very, very interesting. I've talked about this, the work that I did with my friend Roseanne a couple of weeks ago about deleting and rewriting the suffering programs and the struggle program and the adversity program, and that's really my work has taken a big turn in this direction as well. And in the soul expansion calls, that's a lot of what the energy work is, sort of focused around, is this idea of returning us back to the divine state of ease, the divine state of joy, the divine state of flow, of learning through love and happiness and expansion and, abundance and fulfillment. And really, I've been talking about this idea of following the upward spiral, and that, struggle is the exception. Adversity is the exception. Density is the exception. If we think about it in terms of, the Earth School, the 3D Earth School, and when we talk about 3D, for those of you who are like, what the hell is this 3D, 5D, 4D thing? Okay, 3D, when we talk about the third dimension or third density, really the third density is kind of the lowest we can be and still have sort of sentient cognizant life. Like the first and second density really is something that we would perceive as inert, or something that doesn't really have a consciousness that interacts with sort of itself, or the field of energy, or the field of consciousness at large. So when we talk about the density of 3D, really the idea of the 3D Earth School was, because this is a school, this is an experiment. The idea was, how can we take a infinite being, and how much limitation can we put on an infinite being and still have it grow and thrive, and give it free will and let it make its own choices, but to put it in an environment where this infinite being doesn't remember that it's infinite, and it perceives itself as limited and finite and separate. And that's what when we're talking about ascension and we're talking about 5D, we're returning to this fifth dimensional and above experience, which is returning us to the sovereign state of learning through the higher expression. Source is unconditional love. Infinite spirit is unconditional love. It is the field of unconditional love that holds us all. And that is what we are. Love is not just an action, it is a frequency, it is a vibration. And so when we think about it in those ways, we can see very clearly that the 3D Earth experience is unique in that it is all about limitation and density and distortion, and how can we put all of these layers of limitation on top of this infinite experience and take this master, powerful creator who has the ability to create worlds and really, really limit it. Let's put it in a tiny little box in a tiny little cage and see what happens. Well, now we know. We know what happens. So the point of this is, this morning I was writing in my journal. The past couple of days have been really, really exciting because I met with John and Lane at Moon Lab Studios over in Brooklyn in Greenpoint. For my radio show. My radio show is launching on June 22nd. I'm super, super excited. I'll be sending out the details today, or so I'll be teasing it today, and then the details will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Oh, by the way, if you're not signed up for my newsletter, go to my website and click on the subscribe tab, because I'm sending out my June newsletter tomorrow. Also, later this afternoon, I'm going to be doing my June energy forecast. Will be live, probably around 3 o'clock Eastern time here on Facebook. So come back and watch that if you want to see the live broadcast. But so I was looking for a studio space to do my radio show, because it's just too noisy in my apartment. I can't I can't create an environment where it's sort of soundproof. So I thought, well, let me start looking for a studio space. And I found a place in Brooklyn, Moonrise Studios, or Moon Lab Studios. These guys are awesome, and I'm super excited to work with them. And then I've also been working with this company in LA who is going to start producing my online courses. And it's really, really exciting. And, I'm finding myself at this point, I was just writing in my journal this morning how I'm so excited to see these vibrational matches starting to come together. I'm starting to see things coalesce. I'm starting to see things being called into form. I'm starting to see things being shaped by my purpose and my choices and my experience, and how it's so wonderful to see these collaborations and these partnerships and these new relationships begin, and this sense of really things opening up. And the question that I have, and I'll sort of illustrate my point. The question is I have for us is, can we trust it when it's good? Can we trust our life when things are really good? And here's what I mean by that. I've been sharing this, the past couple of months. I've been very vocal about this, and I'm always open about my experience. I think that's the important thing, is that I share my own journey with you, because I'm not some guru on the top of the mountain. I'm just a guy having his own experience, and it's important for me to be honest and transparent. So a couple of months ago when I moved back to New York, my private sessions came to a screeching halt. And all of a sudden I went from 10 to 20 clients in a week to sometimes 4 to 5 clients in a month. It really drastically fell off. And I was freaking out. Meanwhile, I'm doing my Sunday soul expansion calls, which have started to become this amazing, powerful incubator for energies and energy work, and it's just incredible the transformations that are occurring. Which, by the way, the soul expansion is now live for registration. You can look on my Facebook page; it's the pinned post entitled "The Return to Sovereignty" is the June theme. And so, here I am, I'm back in Brooklyn, things come to a screeching halt, I'm like, what the fuck, how am I going to make, the mind's freaking out, oh my God, what about my money, how am I going to make money, here I am in one of the most expensive cities on the planet, and now things come to a screeching halt, and what am I going to do, and how, and I was freaking out for the first couple of months, or first couple of weeks I was back. Meanwhile, the soul expansion calls are building and getting bigger, and are bringing me, income in terms of the requirements that I have just for my regular life, right, paying bills and eating and all of that stuff. And I had a conversation with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying to me, he reminded me, he was like, Andrew, he's like, I know you're freaking out, and I understand why you're freaking out. And this was something that I had talked about as well. I think it was in my April or May update about, reformulating your recipe. And after these timelines had collapsed, we're now in this new place. And how difficult it is for us to trust it when it's good. And it's I've been saying this for several months too, is, oftentimes the most difficult thing to trust is when we get what we want. Oftentimes the most difficult thing is when we get what we've been asking for, we don't trust it. And my friend said to me, he said, Andrew, I know you're freaking out. He said, but this is what you asked for. He said, we've been talking about this for months. He was at the end of the year last year, around November, December, you were saying that you wanted to get to the point where your one-on-one clients weren't as prevalent in terms of your time and attention, and it was more about the group stuff and working on the new projects and working on other things, because honestly, if I'm doing 20 clients in a week, I don't really have time or energy for anything else. It kind of puts me in this routine of all I do is client work and then a couple of videos here and there. And so I'd been saying, I love my one-on-one sessions, but I want to get to the point where it's not the predominant thing that I do, so that I can start doing these other things. And, the soul expansion calls and doing these live things and the radio show and the online courses, these are also a lot more affordable. I really wanted to try to find a way to reach a larger audience and not charge each individual as much, so more people could access my work. So, he reminded me, he was like, Andrew, this is what you asked for. This is what you wanted. So why can't you trust it? And it was such a light bulb moment for me. And now what I see, having met with the guys at Moon Lab Studios, I don't know why I always want to call it Moonrise. Moon Lab Studios in Greenpoint. And then having talked to this guy, Sean, in LA, who's going to start producing my courses, I was like, oh my God, I see very clearly how the past couple of months since I moved back has been this beautiful moment of giving me time to rest and rejuvenate and sort of build my vision for the next few months and where do I want to go from here, and to really get clear on what was next for me, and to have this time where I'm not doing 20 clients in a week and having such an output of energy and time required, and focus more on the one-on-one, or focus more on the group stuff, focus more on the other projects, and just have more of an ease and a flow in my life. And here's the thing. We have this weird thing where we have this Stockholm Syndrome with our suffering and our difficulty and our struggle. And I am the first one to raise my hand, because I had said, I want to have a life where I don't have to have 20 clients in a week, and I want to have an easier life where I do my 2-hour calls on Sunday, and then I spend the rest of my time working on other projects, and I don't want to necessarily always have to be putting in a 40-hour week. And we have learned how to elevate struggle. We have elevated struggle to this point of, it's like a badge of honor. And I used to do this. I remember when I was a makeup artist and I was living in New York the first time, and there were times when I was working like 70-hour weeks. During Fashion Week especially. Like I was putting in like 15, 16-hour days. And part of me really loved that, and I loved my work, and I am certainly not advocating against hard work. I'm not saying that you can't work a 15, 20-hour day, and I know that there will be times coming up as things begin to, to open up for me in this next phase. I know I'm going to be a lot busier than I have been. And that's fine. I love that. But I'm not interested in being busy just for the sake of being busy. I'm not interested in this idea that if I'm not putting in 40 to 60 hours a week, that I'm not working hard. That I'm not putting in 40 to 60 hours a week, that I'm not going to be successful. That I got to grind, and I got to hustle, and I got to struggle. And we have elevated that. We have elevated this idea of struggle because we have learned how to thrive in adversity. But adversity and struggle are the exception. In the universe, this 3D Earth experience of learning through struggle, and learning through anger, and learning through fear, and learning through danger, and learning through limitation, this is the exception. And we have even said, like, I look at myself, and I go, wow, I'm actually doing it. I'm living a life where I don't have to bust my butt every single day to be successful. And I can even reformulate what even my idea of successful is. And I look at other people, years ago, I used to look at other people like me and say, oh, well, he's just lucky. He's the exception, because you can't be happy and successful. You can't have an easy life and be successful. You can't have flow and abundance and ease. You got to work hard for that. And only a very few ever get there. Bullshit. Why is it so difficult for us to trust it when it's good? Don't get too cocky, don't get too comfortable, because that's when shit falls apart. Don't get too happy, because, that's when God's going to punish you. It's this idea that's been ingrained in our mind that if we're not struggling or grinding or exhausted or depleted, that we're not working hard enough, or that we don't have what it takes. Right? Isn't that weird how we always redirect it to struggle? You don't have what it takes. You're not willing to work hard enough. You're not hungry enough. You're not willing to struggle. There's someone behind you who's going to work twice as hard for half the money. No. I see now very clearly how the past couple of months have been a beautiful opportunity for me to rest and rejuvenate and recharge, for me to get really, really clear on what's next for me, and to choose a higher expression, to choose to learn through joy and ease and flow and abundance and effortlessness and cooperation and community and unity. That's what I've been wanting to learn through. And I got it. And what did I do? The first thing I thought was, oh shit, it went sideways. It's too easy. I can't trust it. It shouldn't be this simple. I shouldn't be this happy. I shouldn't have this many hours in a week to just do whatever I want. I should always be beholden to somebody else. And, it's like this idea that we always have to be on this treadmill moving forward. And, here's the thing. I am not saying that working hard or putting in 60 hours in a week is bullshit. That's not what I'm saying. But the question is why are you working that hard? What is your intention? Whose bottom line are you serving? I was talking with this guy, Gus, who owns this bakery down the street, La Premiere in Bushwick. So if you're ever in Bushwick, look for it. It's amazing. And he's an entrepreneur, and we were talking about it, and he was like, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning every morning to come to the bakery and do all the stuff. And he was like, 4 o'clock comes earlier and earlier every day. And I was like, yeah, I get it. As an entrepreneur, there's never a time when I'm not, I'm always thinking about what's next. But I said, even in my worst day as an entrepreneur, I am happier than my best day working for somebody else. And this is what I've been asking myself is, how can we trust it when it's good? We have learned how to identify. We have gotten so good at thriving in adversity that we have started to wear it as a badge of honor. And it doesn't have to be that way. We can choose to say, I'm done, yes, struggle, fear, doubt, limitation, scarcity, lack, hustle, grind. I have learned through that. And thank you for the lessons I have learned through those lower, dense experiences. But I don't have to learn through that anymore. I can say thank you to that, and now I can say I'm ready to learn through the upward spiral. I'm ready to learn through, and this is, I talk a lot about this in the blog post that I put up called The Universe is Within. It's on my Facebook page, or you can go to my website, thelightones.com, and look under the blog tab, and you'll see it. And I talk about this, about how we so often go down the up escalator. The universe is saying, honey, I'm going to carry you to ease and joy and abundance and fulfillment and, excitement and all the upward spiral experiences. I'm trying to carry you there, but you keep going down the up escalator. So I just wanted to share this with you because as I was writing in my journal, it started to click for me, and I started to see how things have been lined up so perfectly. And that just because I went from 20 clients in a week to 5 clients in a month, didn't mean shit had gone sideways. It didn't mean I had done something wrong. It didn't mean that I needed to work harder. It just meant that I was being given the life that I had asked for. We are all returning to the truth, the divine, the return of sovereignty, the return to sovereignty. And this is the theme for June, is about if you are and when you are standing in your sovereign truth as a master creator, it does not have to be difficult. It does not have to be hard. It doesn't have to be struggle. Struggle is the exception. And I just think it's really, really inspiring and really, really exciting to see us starting to reach this point where we're saying, wait, there's got to be another way. And I've talked about this, this was a lesson that was coming through a lot last year, was that effort doesn't guarantee success. If you think that putting out more effort means you're going to be successful, then why are there people working 3 and 4 jobs who are still barely holding it together? And why are there people who seem to just sort of fall into it and they don't work hard from that, from the perspective of society saying you got to put in your 40 to 60 hours a week? I don't work that much anymore. I mean, I do, a lot of my work is sitting and receiving and just sort of putting things together and sort of, allowing things to coalesce in front of me. But in terms of me sitting at my desk, I don't do it 40 hours a week anymore. And I am happy and I am successful and I have what I require. I have the resources and I have the stuff I need to make it work. I have what I require. And I am not lucky. I am not the exception. I am not, It would be really easy for people to sit and go, oh, well, Andrew, well, yeah, I mean, look at him. He's lucky. He's the one of the few. No, it doesn't have to be that way. So I think it's important for us to begin to ask these questions. There's, again, there's nothing wrong with working hard, but why are we working hard? Whose bottom line are we serving? What is the intention behind these 40 to 60 hour work weeks? And it's a scale, right? I'm not saying if you're working 60 hours a week and you say, well, fuck this, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not saying quit your job today. I mean, you got to kind of open up to it and let it guide you forward. But I think the first step is to ask, like, show me another way. Show me how to learn through joy. Show me how to learn through ease. Show me how to learn through abundance. Show me how to learn through plenty. Show me how to learn through connection and unity and excitement. Because that's the real way. That's the divine self. That is the divine blueprint. That is the return to sovereignty, is to stand in your truth as a powerful creator who has the ability to create worlds. And I have. I've been shown that the soul that I am has created worlds. And that's part of what the sound healing is that I'm doing, is it is creating a new vibration within the body and within the energy field, and it is helping people shift their circumstances. But struggle is the exception. Struggle is unique to the earth experience, and yes, we signed up for it, but I am telling you unequivocally that the experiment has ended. That's why we're all going through this experience right now, is that the experience of the 3D limited free will earth school is done. The results are in. We know what happens when you severely limit an infinite being. We know how much struggle and adversity and limitation we can place on an infinite being and still have them grow and survive, right? It's like, how much toxicity can we give to an animal before it dies? So we've gotten to that point. I did this report years ago in high school about animal testing, and there's this term in the cosmetic industry or in the animal testing industry. It's called the LD50. It stands for lethal dose 50. So basically what they do is they find out how much of an ingredient or a chemical it takes to kill an animal, and then they cut that amount in half, and they call that the LD50. And that's the gauge of when they used to do a lot more animal testing. That was the gauge for how much they could put into a product and have it be safe. And that's really, I've been thinking a lot about that lately, is in this experiment of the Earth School, it was how much struggle can we put on a being and still have them, be a viable, living, breathing organism. And so we've learned that, and the experiment is over. That's why we're seeing all the shit fall apart. The constructs that were required for the 3D Earth experience are no longer required. That's why they're falling apart. And yet, we see so many of us, and myself included, trying like hell to keep these things alive. No, we got to shore it up. No, we got to put a Band-Aid on it. No, we don't. We got to let it fall apart because the experiment's over. The lab has been dismantled. The animals have been taken out of their cages and put on a refuge. They're now in a sanctuary. They're free. We are free. We are born free. We are born free. It's just that the environment that we chose to come to is one that is built on limitation. The whole point of the 3D Earth experience was limitation. But now the experiment is over. And we are returning to sovereignty. We are returning to freedom. We are deleting the suffering and the struggle programs. Now, this is the other thing. That doesn't mean that everyone's going to say yes to it, right? Some people are still going to want to run back to the safety of the cage. They feel they've learned how to thrive in adversity and limitation, and so they're just not ready yet, and that's fine. That's their choice. But what I'm saying is that struggle is no longer the only option. So I just wanted to share this with you, and I'm going to hop off here because I got to go to the gym. And again, I'll be doing the live energy forecast, and this is sort of a teaser of what you can expect. But I'm doing the live energy forecast this afternoon at 3 o'clock for the June energy forecast. 3-ish. I have a client at 2, so it may be like 3:10 or 3:15 Eastern time. But I just wanted to share this with you. Begin to ask, like, why do I not trust it when things are good? Why is it that when I get what I want, I don't believe that it's possible or that it's true? And if you're in one of those relationships or in one of those jobs or in one of those experiences that is about struggle and adversity and limitation, begin to ask yourself, who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for a society that is clearly sick and imbalanced, that is telling me that if I'm not hustling and busting my butt, or if I'm not struggling and suffering, that it's not real, that I'm not working hard enough? Or this idea that love has to be this painful, awful experience? So just begin to ask yourself, okay, it's not about what am I doing, it's about why am I doing it? When did I decide that this is the only way my life could be? When did I decide? Who was it that wrote this fucking script for me? And when did I say yes to it? And just because you said yes to it doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. It's just, it's now you have another choice. And you can say, you know what? I don't like this script. You need to revise this. So be the editor of your experience and be fucking like, come on. You know, as a sovereign being, you have the right to interrogate your experience. You have the right to demand what you require. You have the right. You are born free. You are a master creator. You are the source spark. Yeah, you're in a tinier container, but you are the energy that creates worlds. So, you know, playing small is an option. Struggle and adversity are options, but they're not the only option anymore. Now the door is open. And this is what I saw a couple of days ago. We are in this period of bifurcation right now, and there's another layer of separation occurring. And not separation between us, but, you know, sort of peeling back these limitations. So there's a much higher ceiling now to our experience. There's a, you know, it's limitless now, and you get to decide if you're ready for that limitlessness or if you still require limitation for your experience, but it's up to you. So just begin to question, how can I learn through a higher expression? How can I learn through the upward spiral? So that's what I wanted to share with you. I am going to finish my fancy iced tea in the wine goblet and get ready for the gym. So keep your eyes open for the forecast this afternoon. Again, go to my website and sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already. thelightedones.com. Click the subscribe tab and it'll take you to the field where you enter your name and email address because I'm sending out my newsletter tomorrow morning and I have lots of exciting things in there. And it's a great way to stay connected with everything that I'm doing. So that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my morning musings. I love you guys, and I'll see you later this afternoon for the June energy forecast. Bye.